All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into one of the most important books in product management, inspired by Marty Kagan. We're going to unpack the core ideas about how the best tech companies, the ones we all admire, build products that people just can't get enough of. So let's get right into it. And right away, this quote, man, this is really the heart of the whole book. See, it's not just about having a brilliant idea, it's about leadership. It's all about that product manager, that person who's leading this complex dance, right? Bringing together technology and design to solve real problems. Problems for the customer, sure, but also in a way that actually works for the business. So if that's the ideal, then why do so many companies, so many product teams struggle to create great stuff? Well, Kagan argues it all comes down to a process that is, just deeply flawed. And I bet for a lot of you listening, it's going to sound painfully familiar. You know the one I'm talking about? We often call it the waterfall model. Even in companies that think they're doing agile, it's this linear sequence of handoffs where one team finishes their part and just throws it over the wall to the next. And that locks everyone into this really rigid plan from the get-go. So take a look at this. Does this look familiar to anyone? Ideas get turned into these big, chunky roadmaps. Then those become detailed requirement docs. Then those get turned into design specs. It's just one handoff after another. And here's the kicker. By the time you actually get the thing out the door, which could be months, maybe even a year later, you've poured all this time and money into it, all based on a guess you made way back at the start. I mean, it seems logical on paper, right? But Kagan says no, this whole thing is built on some seriously shaky ground. So yeah, this old way of doing things, it's got some massive cracks in its foundation. And Kagan points to what he calls the two inconvenient truths, two fundamental realities that this waterfall process just completely ignores. And that's what sets teams up to fail before they even write a single line of code. Okay, so here's the first one, and it's a tough pill to swallow. At least half of our ideas just aren't going to work, period. Doesn't matter if it came from the CEO or the smartest engineer on the team. Customers might not want it, they might not understand it, it just won't fly. And the second truth, even for the ideas that do have potential, the first version we build is almost never going to be good enough. It's going to take a bunch of tries, a lot of tweaking and iterating to really nail it and deliver that value we're hoping for. Now think about that for a second. The old model, the waterfall, it has zero room for either of these truths. And with all that in mind, is it any surprise that so many companies pour in tons of time and money and get, so little in return? When your whole process is about locking into a roadmap full of unproven ideas, you're basically just betting the farm on a coin flip every single time. This is where all that waste, all that frustration, and all those products that just land with a thud, this is where it all comes from. Okay, so if that's the problem, what's the solution? What's the alternative? Well, Kagan argues it's not about just swapping out one process for another. It's way deeper than that. It's a fundamental shift in mindset. It's about building teams of missionaries, not mercenaries. All right, so let's break that down. On one side, you've got mercenaries. These are teams that are basically paid to follow orders, to build whatever they're told to build. Their job isn't to question the why, it's just to execute on the what. They're all about implementing features from a list. But then you have missionaries. These folks are the true believers. They are bought into the vision, they're passionate about it. They aren't just there to build features. They are on a mission to solve a real problem for their customers. See the difference? They own the problem, not just the tasks. And that shift in mindset totally changes how you measure success. A mercenary team, their world revolves around output. Their big question is, did we ship the features that were on the roadmap? It's a big checklist. But a missionary team, they are laser-focused on outcome. Their question is, did we actually achieve the result we wanted for the business? Did we actually reduce customer churn? Did we increase how much people are engaging with our product? Because let's be real, shipping a feature that nobody uses isn't success. That's just waste. Actually moving a key business metric, that is success. So the big question is, how do you actually build one of these teams of missionaries? Well, it all starts with getting the right people, putting them into the right kind of structure, and having them work in a completely different way. So, what does that modern product team look like? It's actually pretty small and focused. You've got a product manager, a product designer, and somewhere between, say, 2 and 10 engineers. And they don't work in silos. They're literally sitting side by side, either physically or virtually, solving problems together. But here is the really crucial part. They are what Kagan calls a durable team. This isn't some temporary group that gets assembled for a project and then disbanded. They stick together, often for years. Why? Because that's how you build deep, meaningful expertise in your customers, in your data, and in the nuts and bolts of your business.
And right at the heart of this team, you've got the product manager. And their job is so much more than just being a requirements gatherer or a project manager. They are directly on the hook for making sure that whatever the team builds is, 1, valuable, meaning customers will actually choose to use it or buy it, and 2, viable, meaning it actually works for the business. At the end of the day, they are the one person who is accountable for whether the product succeeds or fails. It's a huge responsibility.
Okay, so how does a team like this actually operate day to day? It's definitely not that old linear waterfall process we talked about earlier. Instead, they work in what you can think of as 2 parallel tracks that are happening all the time, continuously.
And this is the idea of continuous discovery and continuous delivery. The keyword here is parallel. These are not sequential phases. They are happening at the same time every single day. So while the engineers are heads down focused on delivery, shipping high-quality production-ready code, the product manager and the designer are already deep in discovery mode, figuring out what the team should tackle next. It becomes this constant, humming, never-ending loop of learning, building, and learning some more.
And what's the whole point of all that discovery work? It's to tackle what Kagan calls the 4 big risks, and to tackle them before you write a single line of production code. You've got to answer these 4 critical questions. First, the value risk. Will customers actually use this thing? Will they pay for it? Then, usability risk. Even if they want it, can they figure out how to use it? Is it intuitive? Third, feasibility risk. Can our engineers actually build this with the time, skills, and technology we have? And finally, viability risk. Does this solution work for all the different parts of our business? Legal, marketing, finance, you name it. The whole game is to find fast, cheap ways to get solid evidence that the answer to all 4 of those questions is yes, before we commit the engineering team to build it for real. So how do you answer all those questions fast? How do you get that evidence? Well, this is where Kagan steps in and tries to rescue one of the most misunderstood, most abused terms in the entire tech industry, the MVP, or minimum viable product. He makes a really strong case that an MVP in the discovery phase should almost never be an actual product. It should be a prototype. Think about it like this. What is the absolute fastest, cheapest experiment we can run to learn something important? To test one of our big risks? It could be a simple sketch, a clickable mockup, anything. It's a tool for learning, not a crappy, half-baked version of your final product. So to kind of pull all this together, Kagan lays out this really powerful comparison. He calls it good team versus bad team. And it's an awesome litmus test, really. A way to hold up a mirror to your own team and your own company and see where you fall on the spectrum. Just look at the difference here. It's night and day. Good teams, the missionaries, they get their ideas from digging into data, from talking to and observing real customers, from playing with new tech. Bad teams, the mercenaries, they just get a list of requirements handed to them from stakeholders. Good teams are all about learning as fast as they can, using those cheap, quick prototypes we just talked about. Bad teams, they hold endless meetings to create these big, prioritized roadmaps that they then lock themselves into. It's about product, design, and engineering sitting together, solving problems together, versus working in separate silos and just tossing documents over the wall. Ultimately, it's the difference between being empowered to solve real problems versus just being told to ship features. And that really brings us to the final, and I think the most important question that Inspired asks all of us. It's a call to take a really honest look at how you and your team work, day in and day out. Are you a team of empowered missionaries, totally obsessed with solving real problems for your customers? Or are you a team of mercenaries, just efficiently executing on a plan someone else gave you? Because the answer to that question might just be the single biggest factor in whether you build something forgettable or something truly inspired.